Are you ready to have fun? Are you ready? Okay, I just want to summarize one little thing that Doran was trying to say earlier before I get into my plan, is we really need your help. One of the reasons that people like me are here is because we really want to hear your opinion. Because we're going to take your opinions and go back and try to make our plans better so that you will also like our plan. It's not enough for me to like my plan, so please help us. And for those students who want to help us permanently, please let us know. Now I will start. So my plan is what they call the United Federation. Obviously I'm talking about being one country. And the basis of the reason we came up with this plan is that we recognize, as I said earlier, that Jews have religious, historical, and emotional attachments to all of Israel, and including Judea, Samaria, and Gaza. I recognize that. And I also recognize that every Palestinian has strong attachments to all of Israel, all of Judea, Samaria, and Gaza. And so the question in my mind, if Palestinians have a strong attachment to everything, the only reason they would accept a two-state solution is if they feel weak. If the Palestinians who have fought for 60 years against a two-state solution, why would they accept it today? That means they must only accept it because they feel they have no other choice and that their current situation is terrible. So how long will this solution last? Will it last if they become strong tomorrow? I don't think so. So this is the basis. I know every Palestinian believes they have a legitimate right. Just like Jews believe they have a legitimate right to be at Ariel, Palestinians feel they have a legitimate right to be in Tel Aviv, in Haifa, and Nasra. This is the reality. I'm not giving you my opinion. Every Palestinian in here feels they have a right. After 130 years, as Yigal said, that right hasn't gone away. I'm from Ein Karam. Even though I never lived in Ein Karam, my wife, who I did not thank, where is she? Raise your hand, my wife. She is from Malha. There are no Palestinians in Malha, right? But after, 60 years after my grandparents left Ein Karam and Malha, people refer to me when they ask me among Palestinians, where are you from? I say Ein Karam. My wife says Malha. Those people who are from Ein Karam in Jordan, when you ask them where they're from, even though they've never been to Israel, Palestine, they say Ein Karam. I tell you this so you can understand. We need to be honest with each other. We need to. So based on these premises, I also understand that Jews want to feel secure. And the number one thing the Palestinians want to feel, want more important than anything else, is equality. That's the number one thing for them. So here's the proposal. I propose we have one country, but two provinces. Rather than two independent countries, we can have two states similar to the United States of America, like you have Florida and New York, or New York and California, or New Jersey. So that there's no confusion, I will call them provinces. Although in America we call them states, I call them provinces. Where two provinces, equal provinces, where we have a federal government. The federal government is made up of Palestinians and Israelis. Every state contributes 50% of the parliament. Every state contributes 50% of the parliament to the federal parliament. The reason it's 50% is so every side will feel secure forever. I know some Jews feel, well, there may be a demographic problem in the future. Maybe Palestinians might outnumber us tomorrow. How would we respond to that? This might endanger Israel. And this is why we said every state contributes 50% regardless of population. This way the Jewish power or Israeli power doesn't become diluted, and Palestinian power doesn't become diluted, and each will be equal. And when you have a parliament that's 50-50, I'm talking about the federal parliament here, when you have 50-50, those who want to introduce laws if let's say there's a member from Hamas, no Jew is going to vote for a proposal by Hamas. And no Palestinian is going to vote for a proposal by Kahana. And therefore, those proposals that will survive are going to be the moderate proposals. And when you have the parliament elect the president or the prime minister, you are much likely to get a prime minister who serves both people. Because which Jew is going to vote for Ahmed Yassin? And which Palestinian is going to vote for Kahana? So you're going to have people, Israelis and Palestinians, who run for office who will need the support of both people. Now, the basis of this state is the free movement of labor and people. That means everyone can travel where they want to. It's one country. Everyone can live where they want to. All the settlements stay where they are. In fact, Jews can build more settlements. In fact, Jews can build more settlements, expand the settlements, unlimited. As long as you buy the land. As long as you buy the land. You can't just take people's land, you have to buy it. Palestinians can live wherever they want to. Every province will have its own parliament. The Israeli province will have its parliament, the Palestinian province will have its own parliament. This way, those Jews who want the Jewish state, they still have their Jewish state. They didn't have to give up their Jewish state because their province is their Jewish province. The Palestinians who want their state, they have their Palestinian state. Only it's not a country. And Israel, only it's not a country. But you have your Palestinian province, and each has its own parliament. If Jews want Jewish law, which is called Halacha, they can have it in their Israeli state. If Palestinians want Sharia, I don't, but if Palestinians want Sharia, they can have it in their state. And again, it's the free movement of labor and people. Now, I understand some Jews might be scared of this. They might be worried. What are they worried about? They're worried, and this country will have the right of return for both people. That means every Jew in the world, from now and forever, will have the right to make, is it called Aliyah? Aliyah to Israel and come here. And every Palestinian around the world would have a right to come here. Now I realize this will scare some Jews. Why would this scare some Jews? Because they think, well, we might end up having hundreds of thousands of Palestinians move to Israel. That would be scary. So we can...
It's not only frightening for the Jews, it's also frightening for the people of Fatah, because they've seen what happened in Gaza in 2005.
Fair enough.
We should refer this comment not to the Jews, but to the Palestinians, the majority of the Palestinians that are afraid, not from us, but from their own brothers.
Let the Palestinians decide. But thank you. Listen, thank you. And I want to hear that right after this, because what you say is important to me. But let the Palestinians decide who they're afraid of. It's not for Israelis to say who Palestinians are afraid of, and it's not for Palestinians to say who Israelis are afraid of. But to continue going, now I lost my train of thought. What was the last thing I said?
Right of return.
Right of return. So some Jews feel that if we have, from what I understand from over years, is if they have hundreds of thousands of Palestinians come, this would endanger the Jewish state. Well, we can come up with solutions with that. We say the basis of this country is the free movement of labor and people. People can live where they want to, reside where they want to. But if the states want to, should they choose it, they can have minor limitations on immigration. For example, Israel can say, we will limit immigration, but they will not have a right to limit it below 50,000 a year. Palestinians can limit if they want to, but not below 50,000 a year. So they can't say, oh, no Jews can come to Palestine. Israel cannot say no Palestinians can come to Israel. The only reason for this, the only reason I introduced this, is so there will be no sudden changes that scare people. Let it be gradual, give people a chance to better know each other and not to be scared for each other until the years and decades move forward. Then maybe we will not have limitations. But again, no state will have the right to limit travel. There will be no walls. No state will have the right to limit visits or even stay for short-term visits. The only limits that states will have, and this quite frankly is from what I understand the Jews want, The only limit is for permanent residency. That means forever. Like if I want to go to Ein Kerem, or if hundreds of thousands of Palestinians want to go to Ein Kerem, then Israel can say, wait a second. Maybe 50,000 can come this year, not hundreds. Same thing with Palestinians. If hundreds of thousands of settlers want to go to Khalil or whatever, they can limit it. Now, my personal preference is there are no limits. And quite frankly, I don't think there will be hundreds of thousands of people going both ways. But our goal is to make people feel comfortable and secure. And so again, we have a state where there's free movement of labor and people, and we recognize every Jew and every Palestinian has rights. Rights, legitimate rights to every square inch of this land. And so then what are borders? Borders in this situation become easy to agree on because they're really insignificant. Because it's free movement of labor and people, but you need administrative borders to know the boundaries of each state and to know the reach of state law. There can be two ways to do this. We can either do it by default, 1967 as a default, if they don't agree, or if they want to, they can go beyond that. For example, al-Fahim is on the border with Israel and the West Bank. They could say al-Fahim is part of the Palestinian state. It's an example. For example, let's say Gilo. Gilo, for example, was originally long ago part of Beit Jala and Beit Lahem, but maybe we can say it becomes part of the state of Israel. Both parties can either agree on new boundaries, or if they don't agree, we make it 1967. But the idea is boundaries don't matter that much, because there's free movement of labor and people. Boundaries don't matter. Jerusalem becomes a non-issue. No big deal. Because Jerusalem is the capital of the country. There should be no limits on Jerusalem. Every Jew in the world can build wherever and live wherever they want to in Jerusalem. East, west, north, south, same thing with Palestinians. Jerusalem is a non-issue. Did I leave anything out? Army.
Army, sir.
Army. They should be a federal military. A federal military made up of Palestinians and Israelis. I recognize that, again, Jews, based on asking people, might be scared of this in the beginning. So we say Israel can keep its existing military as the military of its province. Keep it all. But at the same time, we have a united military, a separate federal military made up of Palestinians and Israelis to defend the country together. The economy...
Who's the enemy?
Hopefully you don't have any enemies. Hopefully you don't have any enemies. And by the way, it's nice to have you here. I think you should introduce yourself. I think I know you.
This is Antarctica. This is the Middle East.
Hold on. I think you're right. By the way, I think we have a celebrity in the room, everybody. Let's clap for him. I don't remember his name, but I know he's a celebrity. And I'm going to answer that. So I think there should be a federal military. There should be a federal police to help people, move forward together. Now, so many people ask, well, who is the enemy? How can we protect Israel or the Jews from Syria, from Egypt, from Lebanon, from Iran?
I tell you how. We ship this whole country, cut it off, we ship it to the sea. 500 miles to the sea, then we can...
No, you don't need to. See, you don't need to. One of the things that I think you came late, one of the things that I said is we need to understand each other. And I think one of the mistakes that most Jews make, that most Israelis make, is they think that the conflict they've had with the Arabs for the last 60 or 70 years is because you're Jewish. Well, I assure you, from our perspective, that's not the conflict. And from our perspective, you don't have a problem with Iran. You don't have a problem with Syria. Well, do it in the comment section. Do it in the comment section.
This is a denial. You can't say it.
Do it in the comment section.
Until 67,
Okay.
there wasn't a Palestinian conflict. Until 67, there wasn't an Israeli